Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Starting with the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Beneficent. I hope you are all fine and must be in preparation for your exams as we are nearing our exam date and we have the schedule of the exams with us. We are in the process of studying epidemiology, and we've seen the supremacy of the experimental epidemiology, and we have seen the experimental epidemiology is far superior than the observational or analytical epidemiology. We have seen the different aspects, and now it is the sort of quasi-experimental. So this is a type of experiment in which the investigator, the researcher, has little or no control over the allocation of the treatments or other factors being studied. So whether you are not studying or you are not selecting, either you are not in a position to allocate the samples or you are not in a position to go for the research. So the key difference in this empirical approach is the lack of random assignment. It's a type of a I can say is a factitious, is a hypothetical type of an approach in which the random assignment is not there. Since the quasi-experimental designs, the advantages of such type of designs are used when randomization is impractical or unethical. They are typically easier to set up than true experimental designs, which require random assignments of the subjects. Additionally, utilizing quasi-experimental design minimizes threats to external validity, as natural environments do not suffer the same problems of artificiality as compared to a well-controlled laboratory settings. Since the quasi-experiments are natural experiments, findings in one may be applied to the other subjects and settings, allowing for some generalizations to be made about the populations. We can say that in this way, a population has been in a full of the population, has been a group of the population, a full of the population, full society, full community has been exposed to certain factors, and over here we select some people for such type of study. That can be called a quasi-experimental. So the natural influence is there, natural effects are there. Also, this experimentation method is efficient in longitudinal research that involves longer time periods, which can be followed up in different environments. Then is the disadvantages obviously of the quasi-experimental, that is this deficiency. The deficiency in randomization makes it harder to rule out confounding variables. Obviously randomization is not there, whole of the people are selected, whole of the people who were affected, who were in a community and were affected by some factor, they are selected. So, and introduces a new threats to the internal validity, because randomization is absent. Some knowledge about the data can be approximated, but conclusions of the causal relationships are difficult to determine due to a variety of extraneous and confounding variables that exist in the social environment. Moreover, even because obviously the social environment of the people, social environment, the social setup may be different of the people living in the same society. Sometimes in the same society, the social setup is different of the people, of the groups, of the strata. So moreover, even if these threats to the internal validity are assessed, causation still cannot be fully established, because the experimenter does not have the total control over the extraneous variables. Then is the baseline study, the collection and analysis of the data, a target audience or situation prior to intervention is called baseline study. So that's all from the experimental type of research epidemiology. Now is the sampling technique. So now the sampling technique, that is the last of the epidemiological study, and the sampling techniques obviously are very much important as far as the research is concerned, the study is concerned. So the population. So first of all, what the population is? The whole population, the whole living beings, whole people living on the globe, in a society, in a community, from where the sample is to be selected. So population, by definition, the whole collection of units, total sets, from which a sample may be drawn, which could be a population of persons events, institutions, our records, etc., etc. So the whole population is the population by definition in sampling technique, and the sample is obviously the one which is selected from this population. So what the sample is, a sample is selected from whole of the population to conduct a study. Now a small group, a small part of it, a small fraction of it, a small number of it has been selected from the total population, from the total sets of the beings, living beings, total sets of the other articles, and then a sample, a group, a part of it has been selected to conduct a study. Because in a large population it is not possible to survey each and every individual to collect the information. It takes less time and few resources to study a sample of them than it does to study all of them. Obviously, if we have to study whole of the world, then every individual is to be conducted. If we have to study whole of the world country, then every individual living in the country is to be contacted. If we study a community, whole of the people in a town, obviously in a division, in a district, in a union council. So whatever we have to do is we have to select a group, a small number from there. So that can be made. That can come under the study. So the statisticians have devised the ways through which almost correct conclusion can be drawn regarding the whole population from only a few individuals if the sample is drawn in an appropriate fashion. So that is what the sample is. Now a sample is a subset by definition. A sample is a subset of the population with all its inherent qualities. The sample should be representative, large enough, but not too large, and selected elements properly approached, included and interviewed. The way the sample is drawn is one of the most crucial aspects of the research based on the sample survey. Types of the samples, obviously, what type of samples are there? There are 8 major kinds of samples, 4 of them simple, random, systematic random and cluster samples are of the probability theory. They are the probability samples. I repeat, 8 major kinds of samples, 4 from the probability theory, and the probability theory samples are simple, random, systematic random and cluster sampling. The other 4 from the non-probability theory are quota, purposive, snowball and haphazard samples, and those are not from the probability theory. They do not follow the probability. The probability samples are representatives of the larger population and they increase external validity in any study. The general rule is that I repeat, is very much important sentence, use representative probability samples whenever you can, and use non-probability sampling when the sampling method as the last resort. So for the usual procedures, for the wherever it is possible, the probability sampling is to be done, and that is obviously the, I can say, simple, random, systematic random and cluster sampling. This is the general rule. Now first of all, the probability sampling. So the probability samples are based on taking a given number of units from a list or sampling frame which represents some population under study in a probability. A number of units from a list or sampling frame which represents some population under study. In a probability or representative sample, each individual must have exactly the same chance as every other individual of being selected. That is what is important about the probability sample. In the probability sampling, every exact member or unit has equal chance of being selected for the study. Then is the simple random sampling. That is the first type of probability sampling technique, probability sampling. And now first type of probability sampling is simple random sample. So every member or an element of the population has an equal chance of being selected. Prepare a sample frame list of whole of the population, decide the same size and select the required number of units through lottery method or with a table of random number. Now obviously if is a say for example 1,000 people are to be selected, or 1,000 people, from 1,000 people we have to select, say for example 20 people or 30 people or 10 people, then simple random sampling would be either lottery, we put the name in the lottery and select through automatic way, through random way, through by chance way, and then is the R is the table method. In table method, what is it? People are sitting on the table, and every second person or every first person sitting on the table is being selected, or every last person sitting on the table is being selected for the study. We don't know how people came, how people sat on the table, what was the discipline, what was the table desk discipline. They came, they sat, and we select every first, second, third, fourth person from the every table. Every fourth person is selected, and that will give us an equal chance of making a study. So just enter the table where anywhere, as numbers are random, it makes no difference where to start. First you take the first one, and then take the next, or you take the in the table method, you take the every first person from the every table, you take the every second person from every table, you take the third person from every table, or you take the last person from every table. Then is the systematic random sampling. There is a random start and then a sampling interval, nth. Enter the sampling frame at a randomly selected spot and take every nth person or item in the frame, e.g. every third person. So start from the say for the third person, then select every third person. Start from the first, then every third person. Leave 2% and then third. Leave 2% and then third. Leave 3% and fourth. Leave 3% and fourth. Whatever the requirement is, the number of whatever the number is required, just keep the people in the list, keep the people in the frame, keep the people in the queue, and select every third, every fourth, or every fifth, whatever is the requirement. So that will be systematic random sampling. Every nth, every third, fourth, fifth, sixth, ninth, 10th, whatever the case may be, every nth number is selected. Stratified random sampling, obviously a strata is selected, a full group of the people is selected. The strata are mutually exclusive segments of a population based on one or more characteristics, that is male or female. All the females are selected, or the males are selected, so strata would be there. All the people in an age group of say for example 20 to 25 are selected, that is a strata, or whatever it is. So stratified sampling is done whenever it is likely that an important subpopulation of interest will be underrepresented in a simple random sampling. So whenever there is a doubt of underrepresentation of any group or any sub population, then random sampling is done. Subdivide overall population into subgroups or strata, and then draw a sample within each stratum using a probabilistic procedure or probabilistic approach. The strata is found, and from there obviously through simple random method the selection is made. Then is obviously the cluster sampling. Cluster represents the group of the people. A whole of the village is selected, whole of the population is selected, whole of the home people living in a home are selected, whole of the union council residents are selected. So this is a way to sample populations for which there are no convenient lists or frames. It is also a way to minimize travel time in reaching scattered units or of the data collection. The selection is made of clusters of the groups such as mohallas, apartments in the buildings, villages, or the schools. So all the school students are being selected in this type of cluster sampling. So 4 types of sampling. 1 was the simple random, 2 was the systematic random, 3 was the stratified random, and 4 was the cluster sampling. So that is how we make the probability sampling in this way. That will help us to know to go for the successful research. And I repeat my previous talk earlier, what I told you, that we have to select from the probability sampling the way from the probability sampling until and unless the probability sampling is not possible, then we will go for the non-probability sampling. We continue with this, maybe we finish into 2 or 3 lectures, and then you will head towards the exam. Stay blessed. Goodbye.